Hello and welcome back to the Reapers with me, Tanky. So what we've got here for review today is the Elegoo Neptune 4 and the Neptune 4 Pro. Now the kind folks over at Elegoo have sent these to me for the purpose of review, but everything here is my own personal opinion. They haven't asked me for any favourable comments or anything like that in return. So as you can see, these machines do look very similar to the Neptune 3 Pro series, and with the Neptune 4 being here on the right and then the 4 Pro on the left. There are a few differences, and the eagle eye viewers amongst you will see that there's a big back block hanging off the back of the Z-axis gantry, as well as a USB stick here at the front, and that allows you to use SD cards as well as USB ports. The build volume of both machines is a 225 by 225 in the X and Y, with a 265mm in the Z axis. Here we have the fans, and that allows for rapid cooling as you're printing at high speeds, which this particular set of machines is set up to print up to a maximum of 500mm a second. Now Elegoo themselves don't recommend to print at that speed. They only recommend to print at 250mm a second, but that is still a ridiculously fast print speed. They do come fitted with the magnetic build plates that you did see on the previous Elegoo Neptune 3s. And it also has an auto bed leveling system, but it can also be fine-tuned by those screws on the four corners. The auto leveling at the moment is an 11 by 11 setup, so it'll do 11 points in the X and the Y, and that gives you a incredibly detailed print area when it maps it out for you. The boards on the machines themselves also come with the Clipper software installed, so you can actually carry out remote monitoring and everything on with these, and that's connected by an RJ45 here, and you can see I've set up a mesh router within my home setup, so I can actually monitor everything from my desktop computer. You've got a detachable plate control panel here, which is exactly the same as on the Neptune 3s with a slightly upgraded firmware on it, but visually everything looks exactly the same. It's still nice, responsive and crisp displays on them. So the screens themselves, all the settings and everything are pretty much the same as the Neptune 3 Pro series, and it also comes up with a nice little handy thumbnail when you're printing. The heated bed themselves, on the Pro you actually have a two-section area, with one area being in the center for when you're doing smaller high-speed printing, and then the outer area for when you need to utilize a bit more of that build volume, and that will allow you to actually control the temperatures a little bit better on there. Now the SD cards themselves come with a number of models. What we're going to be printing here whilst I go through this is a high-speed Benchy, and that will be done in 18 minutes. So let's talk about the Pro a bit more. So with the Pro, you've got everything that you would get on the normal Elegoo Neptune 4, but like I said, with those two heating zones. The head itself is upgraded. They can now do all your normal PLAs, PTGs, ABS, TPUs, and also it will do nylon as well. You can see they still come with an SD card slot that's available, but you don't need to use that because you've got the USB functions there. Now there is a USB-C port on both of these machines as well, next to the USB-A's, but I haven't utilised that yet because I haven't got any devices that connect via USB-C, but that is also an option for you. One thing to bear in mind with the Pro is that you do have to assemble the head when you get the printer. It's not a difficult job, but unlike the normal Elegoo 4, it doesn't come pre-assembled. Another feature on the 4 Pro is that you have a metal bar going through the Z-axis gantry, which allows for better control on there. So because you've got a USB port on here, one thing that you can do, as you can see here, is you can set up webcams in conjunction with the Clipper monitoring software, which would then allow you to monitor what is going on. Now what you can see here is a frame that I printed out and have then attached to the machine to allow me to do that. So let's compare the prices of these machines whilst we wait for the prints to start. So you've got the Neptune 4 starting from $259 and then the Neptune 4 Pro from $299 at the time of making this video, and that's a vast improvement over the $230 for the Neptune 3. Now when we look at the print head on the new Neptune 4 Pro, it's been upgraded and they've changed the nozzles in there to a high flow model to allow for the extra speed of the printing here, as well as allowing for more filaments to be used. Interestingly enough, there are some filaments that are coming out on the market that, whilst aren't carbon fibre, they do mimic carbon fibre very, very well, which is a nice addition. So yeah, it's not always all about the machines themselves. There's also some nice innovation coming along with the actual filaments. Some of the extra features that I've briefly discussed include the dual gear direct drive extruder, which has been tweaked to a 5.2 to 1 reduction ratio for a smoother, consistent extrusion, combined with a copper titanium bimetal throat pipe and a unique air duct design to improve heat dissipation and reduce the nozzle clogging. The nozzle itself will go up to 300 degrees centigrade, and that will allow you to, as I've said, cover a wide range of filaments including PLA, PETG, ABS, TPU and high temperature filaments like nylon. And the extended hot end design ensures a consistent heating and faster melting and extrusion, resulting in that faster printing speed, which is incredible, to be fair. Now the fans at the back, which do help improve with that cooling when you're printing on higher prints, they're actually a 4 set of fans that cool the print as it's coming off the head to help prevent the warping and improve the overall print quality at the faster speeds. Now you can see that it does come with LED lighting on the top of the gantry and on the print head that will allow you to observe what's going on, and that's a feature on both the Neptune 4 and the Neptune 4 Pro. Although whilst you're printing, it can be a little bit fiddly turning them on, but they do come on. It's just got to go through the actual G code as it goes through it to turn them on. One of the outstanding features of this is the fact that it does come with that Clipper firmware already installed, and we'll cover that a little bit further on in the actual review, where I'll show you exactly what it looks like and talk you through a few of the features that are available on there. And one thing that we haven't covered, and we will do, is the actual print quality of the prints that come off these machines. So here we have a decorative skull that I printed off, and that was done on the Neptune 4 Pro at 250mm a second at a fine layer height, and you can see that the quality on the actual print itself is outstanding. You know, you struggle to see any faults with it at all. And now we have the printed Benji that's coming up, and you can see from this that the quality is also of a top-notch standard. All the lines are nice and crisp and clear, and it really is a beautiful little print, and I'm staggered at the way this has come off. So let's have a look at the Clipper software itself. So down here you can see that you can remotely set off a print job to start, and that's great. And this is both the same for the Neptune 4 and the 4 Pro. And you can also see that you've got the ability to see your camera in there. And now you do have to add this in. It's an additional bit of coding within the software itself. But there's so many graphs and everything that you can see that, you know, all the information that you could possibly want for your printer is presented in front of you. You can see a sample of all the G code that's running, all the print files that are on the storage of it, the actual settings for the extruder head itself, any additional plugins that you've got on. And then, you know, not only have you got the plugins, but you've also got the ability to see what the G code will do in a simulation before you actually print anything off. That's really handy. And this is all on the initial dashboard, so where you first go into Clipper itself and have a look around at what's going on. From there you've got the other areas that you can dive down into. You can also control certain parts of the extruder head, like you can turn the lights on from directly within it. Yeah, it's such a powerful piece of software for remote control of this. There you've got the CLI. Here's the actual print jobs in a more expanded view. All the print history that you've carried out. Everything that's going on. You can set up Timelapse with it. This is a graph of the actual heat bed itself. Here you can actually go in and alter the configuration of your files. Be careful when you do that though. And then you can see the actual system resources that are being used up, and then you can also tweak more of the settings itself. So as you can see, it's massively powerful, Clipper, and as a network engineer, this has been like a dream come true. The only way that it could be improved is if you could enable the Wi-Fi functionality of it natively instead of hardwiring it, but that would involve getting an additional part to put in there. So what I'm going to do is show the actual quick benchy that's going on at the moment on the right, and then samples of what Clipper can do on the left. This is one feature I don't think many of the other YouTubers have actually covered. They've gone out about how fantastic the machine itself is, which is all true. It is a fantastic machine, but this is one of the biggest selling points for the 4 Pro and the 4, is the ability to be able to do this all remotely. You know, as I was doing this, I was up in my office doing this on my desktop machine, and then I was able to control everything down in my garage, and it was so much easier. You know, we had the point there where the Pro had failed to actually heat up and start, and there was no reasoning behind that, but I was able to shut the machine down and then bring it back up and restart all the firmware, and it started again without any issues. It was absolutely a dream to do. I didn't have to go downstairs or go into the garage to sort anything out. The only time that you would need to do that is if you have a error on the filament, and that does happen on the Neptune 4, where the filament I was using actually snapped in between the print head and the filament run out detector, and so it wasn't actually printing anything, and the filament detector can't detect anything after it. So that's a little bit of a negative on that one, but that's more down to the filament I was using at the time rather than the actual machine itself. But you can see there, it's come back up in next to no time, and we're able to then start getting the print job doing and running. I am also running a time lapse on this, which I will show you at the end, and that's your classic time lapse where you just see each layer get built up one at a time. Now, one thing to bear in mind with that is it does extend the time of your print, because it has to bring the bed to the front, take the photo, and then resume printing again. And so of course that will extend it out, because it's not actually printing whilst it's doing that. But you get a really nice little build up, and you'll see a Benji that I did where I put the tree supports on it get built up from a blank build plate up to a full model. And yeah, it's really interesting, and it will do that for every single print that you have until you tell your slicer not to do it anymore. It's such a powerful and amazing bit of kit, and I am really excited to see everything that I can do with this. I've only really dipped my toe into this actual firmware itself. One thing that you do have to bear in mind with the Clipper software itself is that it is Linux based, and so when you are going into it and you need to configure the software, firstly you would need to use a terminal software, something like Putty, to be able to connect to the machine directly, not via the web GUI. And this would allow you then to install things like the time-lapse code and APIs that would go on there. And the commands are obviously different than Windows command prompt, so that can be a little bit of a learning curve for people, but it's not difficult. There are plenty of guides out there on the web on how to get your webcam up and running, install the time-lapse software, and it's all open source, and it's not going to cost you a penny to actually get that in there. So that's one of the lovely advantages of having this upgraded firmware on there, that the world is going to be your oyster when it comes to what you can actually do. Now you can see on the right of the screen here that we have been printing this Benji in real time. None of it is being slowed down, so you can see how fast these machines actually are. And yeah, this is the sort of thing that was unheard of not too recently. You know, I can foresee in the future that we're getting more and more towards that sci-fi Star Trek replicator sort of vibe of things going on, where you just tell it that you want to print something and it's done there instantly. Yeah, you don't have to wait. You know, a Benji itself, just a few months ago, would take what, an hour, 45 minutes. Yeah, it's not a complicated model. You know, it is a bit of a stress test to see what's going on, but 18 minutes from start to finish is mind-blowing. You know, you couldn't even think of that in just a few months ago. You know, 18 minutes for a fully printed model. You know, you can be looking at, without putting it into the high speed mode, that skull that I printed out on the older machines, that would have taken a day and a half, easy day and a half. Did it in 8 hours, start to finish, and it was done. And you saw the quality of it. The quality that these machines is able to pump out is absolutely fantastic. I don't know what the guys at Elegoo are doing, but they, in my eyes at the moment, are not putting a foot wrong. You know, not only have we got these Neptunes, but then there's the Saturns 3 and the Saturn 3 Ultra that's coming out, and I will be doing a review of the Saturn 3 as soon as I can finished testing it. And yeah, those machines, they look, and from what Elegoo have told me, they sound really, really amazing as well. So not only we got the 3D printers, they're coming out with a laser engraver and cutter as well in the not too distant future. They've been concentrating more on the release of these printers, so there hasn't been any real news on the laser engraver, the Vector, but that'll be coming to us as well for a review on that. So as soon as I've done that, that's going to be up, and you can see how well this all fits in with the sim pitting side of life. We can do our controls, we can 3D print housings for MFDs and things like that, but now we're also going to have the ability to laser cut our woods, metal panels. The Elegoo just seems to be like the go-to place for everything that we're going to need, and it's really, really impressive. So here you can see that issue that I mentioned earlier, where the filament itself had snapped, and I've just stopped it remotely, then gone down, and I'm now refeeding the filament back into it. And yeah, I wouldn't have known about that previously if I didn't have this monitoring software. I would have just gone down, found out that it had failed, and it would have been a complete waste of time. Whereas now I've been able to jump on it straight away and sort the actual issue out there and then, as soon as I've noticed that it is failed. And I do believe that there is a way to actually set up Clipper so it will alert you when there is a fail within the actual print itself. And that's, once again, another really handy feature of being able to do this networking. I know that you can do networking on the Saturn III Ultra. It's not implemented on the Saturn III itself, which is a little bit of a disappointment. I would have liked to have been able to see what that can actually do, especially given the fact that networking is my job, and I have got a real passion and interest for that, along with our usual flight simming. But you can see, sort the issue out, go back to the office, start the print going again, and if it had picked it up sooner, you would have just been able to resume the print if it had actually stopped. But because it had gone on so far, it was just easier to start a brand new print off. And that just shows that the machines are brilliant, but nothing is infallible. So what we've got here now is the time lapse that I mentioned earlier, and you can just see it's building up with those little tree supports in there. So as you can see, that particular function of it is really, really good to use, and it's actually a fantastic little bit of kit to have in your arsenal. So going back to thinking about the Clipper software, when you do use the terminal software to actually get into it, it will ask you for a username and password, and hats off to Elegoo. As soon as I posed that question to them, they came back to me with the answer within 24 hours. And without that password, you won't be able to put in any of the actual configuration changes that you would need to put in. And so Elegoo do just show that they do listen to their user base. They are there to support their customers, and they are some of the best people I have ever worked with in customer services when it comes to any questions or any issues that I have had with any of their printers. It doesn't matter whether it's stuff that they have sent me for the purpose of review or stuff that I have purchased out of my own pocket. They've treated me in exactly the same high caliber standard, and I really do hold that in a high esteem, because there are so many companies out there that will just take your money and run and won't actually help you out properly. They'll just do the classic IT question if you turned it on and off again in a 3D printer sort of way. And you know, Elegoo just do not do that. They are a really, really great company to work with. So all in all, I have to say that I'm extremely impressed with these machines, and they are a fantastic starting point for anybody getting into the 3D printing space. An even better improvement over the last set, which were also fantastic. The way things are going, I can't see Elegoo actually putting a foot wrong in the way they're going, and I would highly recommend any of their machines to anybody. They are absolutely fantastic. You can see here that the print is coming to a finish, and yeah, this has all been in real time. You wouldn't expect to see this at all for anything. So there we go, one 18-minute benchy all printed out. And here's a shot of the actual screen to show you. 18 minutes all done and dusted. So I've been Tanky from the Grim Reapers, and I hope you've enjoyed this this overview of what the Elegoo Neptune 4 and 4 Pro are up to, and I hope to see you again very soon.